Events in Slay the Spire 2 are incredibly powerful and fun to roll, but are you picking the correct options for every given event? In this video, I'll be going through every event in Slay the Spire 2, talking about when to pick each option and giving them a score from 1 to 3. 1 means they are worse than a hallway fight, 2 means they are about equivalent to a hallway fight, and 3 means they are better than a hallway fight. Now let's jump right in. Okay, we're in Underdocks, so let's do Underdocks events. Okay, this is the heal 10 or gain 2 max HP, take 3 damage one. If you keep clicking this number goes up, so you will lose a lot of HP. Let's go back to here. So usually you get this Act 1, right? You don't have that much HP to spend in Act 1. I think 90% of the time you will click heal 10. And if you're going to a very safe path, like let's say like 2 elites or something, 2 elite max, and you have a lot of campfires, you can consider clicking this a bunch of times to get some max HP and like rest. It's possible. But usually you just want the 10 HP so you can farm elites. I would say 90% of the time. Not a super high value event. 10 HP, it's like fine. I will rate it 2, about the same as a hallway. In the context of Act 1, you're going to these early events to not fight advanced hallway, right? To preserve HP, and this helps you preserve even more HP. So it does help you have some safety for the first elite fight. But if your deck is bad, this doesn't directly improve your deck. If your deck already has some damage card, it's like fine. So I would say this event's like 2 out of 3. About equivalent as a hallway in terms of value. Basically always bottom. Yeah, very rarely do you take top option here. Doors of Light and Dark. Upgrade 2, remove 1. This is very strong. This is much better than a hallway, so 3 out of 3. Both of these options can be clicked. You're more interested in the 2 random upgrades in Act 1 because even strike upgrade, defend upgrade still plays. If your deck is already somehow very developed, you can consider remove 1, especially on Necrobinder. Remove 1 can be very strong because Necro strikes are horrendous. But even then, you're still going to be more frequently clicking the upgrade 2. Just a lot of front-loaded power for Act 1 to help you kill elites. And if you don't hit a base card, you can like high roll this a bit. Even like on a silent, you hit like neutralize upgrade, that's huge. Or if you have like already added a card. But overall, just very powerful. Basically, like 80% of the time you go top here, and maybe 20% you go remove 1. Drowning Beacon. Underdocks exclusive once again. So this event has 2 very powerful options. This potion is actually kind of insane. Basically wins any fight if you want. The exhaust your hand part, just get rid of all your bad cards. Even in Act 1, right? Let's say against Act 1 boss. You exhaust your base cards, you just play your added cards over and over again. Especially against something like a Soulfish, you can even exhaust the Beckhams. So very strong potion. However, this relic is wrong winning. Makes your block cards nimble. Nimble says they block for 2 more. If it's something like a dodge and roll, it gets like double dip on the nimble because you block 6 this turn, 6 next turn. Similar for something like a glitter stream on region. The max HP will not matter like ever. Don't be afraid of losing 30 max HP. First of all, usually when you encounter this event, you don't even lose real HP, right? Maybe you have taken some damage, like a couple points of damage from the easy hallway. And I'm pretty sure like a lot of characters, you start damaged, so even if you have not taken damage, there's basically no downside. Essentially have a footwork for all your block cards. Extremely, extremely powerful relic. I mean, broken on every character, most broken on Necrobinder probably, because Necrobinder's entire character is block, and you just block. Like you get this relic on Necro, you just win. Wow. Probably worse on Clad. Sometimes you don't see block cards on Clad, but even on Clad, this is still good. Also, max HP probably matters most for Ironclad, because sometimes you just face tank. You don't block, you just face tank. But with this relic, suddenly you can block. Ironclad also has unmovable, so you also can get extra value that way. On Silent, crazy. On Region, crazy. On Defect, crazy. Yeah, a very, very good relic for every character. Probably strongest relic in Act 1 in the entire game. Definitely 3 out of 3 scoring for me. Endless Conveyor. You cannot encounter this event if you do not have more than 120 gold. We can get some gold. So there are 2 options here. Bottom option is fine. Like, if you pretend top option doesn't exist, this is fine. I would say this is still better than like a hallway on average. Just get a random upgrade. Okay value. Top option is crazy. So the way this works is you have a lot of different options, and every 5 clicks, you're guaranteed a Feeding Frenzy, which says zero energy skill, gain 5 strength, upgrading to gain 7 strength. And if you click 10 times, and then you, on the 10th click, you also get Feeding Frenzy guarantee. So every 5 clicks. Yeah, minimum is 120 gold to encounter this event. So you can click at least 3 times, right? $40 per click. And I would just click through these options to show you the other options. You have the max HP one. You have a transform one, which is high value, $40 transformer card. Extremely high value. $40 for a potion. Okay value. $40 heal 10. Very, very often this just plays full. You are probably missing 10 HP when you encounter this, because you start the wrong damage, right? And Feeding Frenzy, very good card. I will say on every character, even Necrobinder, having 1 copy of Feeding Frenzy is worth it. I mean, some characters can use strengths better, like Silent with any shivs, Ironclad with anything, right? But even on Necrobinder, which uses strength the least, the first copy of this still pretty good. Just a very high value card. 0 cost, 5 strengths this turn. I would say the second copy of this card, if you somehow are very rich, sometimes you start with like the greed in the option with like $333. I would not recommend taking the second Feeding Frenzy. That start getting into breaking your draw territory. Like if you draw both of them on the same turn and no attacks, you're crying. So stopping at 9 click, if you have the money, is what I recommend. And random colorless card for $40, usually very good. Colorless cards, yeah, that's a good card, for example. Just very, they are just very broken in this game. And upgrade the random card. So sometimes you get this, which, I mean, obviously you take it. But yeah, sometimes you also just get lucky winner, you just get gold. It's less likely, some of the options are less likely to show up than others, and this is like the most rare. And I'm pretty sure that's every option you can see on this event. Yeah, so max HP $40 for 4 max HP, not a bad deal. $40 for transform 1, not a bad deal. $40 for heal 10, also not a bad deal. So they are all good. $40 for random colorless, a potion. Just a very easy way to convert gold into immediate power. So I will generally spend every dollar I have at this event. Even if I start with like a greed transform. Then I stop at the 9th click. I don't want double feeding frenzy, but very powerful. I have to say, if you are forced into a shop, then you might want to consider stopping early, because you don't want your shop to be completely dead. But let's say if I have the greedy neon option, I go here, and I can pivot. I don't have to go to a shop on the map. I'll just spend my gold here, and just avoid the shop. But yeah, the thing with this event is every option is good. There's no bad option. So another event that's better than a hallway, definitely 3 out of 3. This is a pretty interesting event. You cannot get it before floor 6, so your deck will have something at least to prepare for this. Essentially, this is similar to fighting an elite. Of course, you can always click top, and top isn't bad. I would say curse for a random relic is still better than a hallway reward, even though curse kind of sucks. Relics are just very, very good in this game. So if you're like dying, you can click top. It's not terrible. I would say these days I take bottom more often, especially if you have like a potion to help you in the fight. The thing with this, right? Like the fight's tough, but they start damaged. Oh, that's what I was talking about. If you take too many feeding frenzies, you break your draw. Yeah, the fight is quite tough. It's essentially an elite fight. However, if you kill them, you're guaranteed a potion drop. And you can still roll your normal combat potion drop. So you can potentially get 2 potions here. So if you're able to fight them with a potion, you just fight them, because you're guaranteed a potion refund and you don't take the curse. Sometimes you can consider fighting this fight and dodging the elite and go to like a campfire to avoid adding the curse if your map allows it. So I would say I will fight this event quite often if you have potions to spend. Of course, if your path is very dangerous, you're forced into like an elite fight with no campfire, even with a potion, this can go wrong. So I will not really fight in that kind of situation. But yeah, after you kill them, you will get the relic, and you're guaranteed a potion drop. Sometimes you get 2 potions. The fight is maybe slightly harder than an elite, you could argue. But with the fact that you're guaranteed a potion back, you can just commit a potion to it. Also, the fight gives you a card reward. If you take the top option, you don't get a card reward, right? So I would say this is better than hallway. Even if you are just forced to take top, you still get a relic, which is quite good. Relics are broken in this game. If you're able to take the fight, then it's much better than hallway. So probably still a 3 out of 3 for me. Spiraling Whirlpool can only occur if you are able to enchant any basic strike or defense, which basically is not a factor. You always will have a basic strike or defense to enchant in Act 1. You don't have P-box swap in this game, right? Okay, also I think my game is a little glitched. Let's do that again. Okay, there we go. Alright, so Spiraling Whirlpool. It can only occur if you have an enchantable basic strike or defend, which is not really a factor. In Act 1, you will always have an enchantable basic strike or defend. So both options are quite strong. Bottom option is heal 33%, so the more max HP you have, the more it heals. On average, it's like 20 HP heal with like a normal run, which is a pretty significant heal. Top option, enchant Defender Strike with Spiral. Spiral says the card gets a replay, so it's played twice. Bottom option is very strong if you are currently very low on HP and you have to go to your aggressive path. I would consider taking bottom, just get like my 20 HP heal and then go farm elites. However, if I'm not desperate for the healing, top option is very good. On a defend, you convert your defend to block 10, and you can upgrade that to block 16, right? Usually you do not upgrade your basic defense, but if it's Spiral, it's a +6 upgrade. 1 energy block 16, kind of crazy. 1 energy block 10, already pretty good. So 99% of time, I will upgrade the defend with Spiral. It will save you a lot of HP. Also, it plays with like Dexterity, it plays with Fasten, anything like that has some potential. Enchanting Strike is much more niche. I would not really consider it on any character besides Ironclad, because Ironclad has Bash, right, in starter deck. So Bash into a Spiral Strike isn't like the worst thing ever. It also plays with Strike Dummy. Maybe you have like Strike Dummy and Miniature Cannon. Then you upgrade that, Spiral Strike, then it deals very large damage. But in Underdocks, right, this is an Underdocks exclusive event. Block is just more valuable. You can find damage elsewhere. You don't really need to Spiral the Strike. So like 99% of the time, you would Spiral your defend. So I would say like maybe 80% of the time, I click Spiral defend, and like 18% of the time I heal, and 2% of the time you play Spiral Strike. But every option here is quite valuable. So this event is very easily better than a hallway. It's gonna be a 3 out of 3. Sunken Treasury. So you get the choice between 2 different options. This is like around 60 gold. It's 52 gold to 67 gold. And second option is 303 to 363. The second option essentially gets you the Niall bonus, right? The 333 gold for greedy Niall bonus. You get an extra Niall bonus for your run. And first option is just a slight injection of gold, not too much. If you can go to your shop at all in Act 1, this is clearly stronger than top. It's just way too much gold. You do get a Greed Curse, which is not good, but the power you will get from this money is just overwhelmingly outweighing the downside. So if you can go to a shop at all in the act, just take the second chest. If there are no shops in Act 1, and you're weak, because even carrying in this gold into Act 2 is still very valuable, but carrying a greed around in Act 1 without a shop can be deadly, can kill you. So if your path is dangerous and you don't have a good deck, you might be forced into first chest. Then it's like fine, a little bit of gold. I would say even getting this gold is probably better than a hallway. And the second option here is like so strong. On average, this event is stronger than a hallway. So a 3 out of 3. If you have already taken a curse from Niall, this can be a little suspicious. Like you take greed start into another greed. You might want to avoid having double greed in your deck. That can kill you, even with a shop. I wouldn't really take any other curse Niall start if I'm playing seriously. Like I wouldn't really take like the curse for a rare card or like Niall's Bones. So pretty much the only time I have a curse in my deck would be the greed Niall bonus. In that case, you might want to not take the second greed. The trash heap. This can only occur if you have 6 HP or more, which is kind of funny. Because if you have 6 HP, you click top option, you die. But yeah, trash heap event, you either get a relic from the past or obtain a random junk and 100 gold. So what are the relics? They are the event relics from Slay the Spire 1. So you can get Darkstone Period, you can get Dreamcatcher, you can get Handrail, which is a lot better in this game compared to Spire 1. A bunch of random enemies have block. Even in Underdocks, right? The Phantasmal Gardeners, they already gain block. Like a Volan gains block. So Handrail has a lot more use in this game compared to Spire 1. You can get Maulbank. Every time you climb a floor, gain 12 gold. This relic is pretty good. Let's say you have already like visited the shop in Act 1, or you don't have to go to a shop in Act 1, you carry this into Act 2. It's a decent chunk of change. You can just spam the gold in Act 2. And you can get the boot, which works against the colony elite. The coral guy, right? The guy that has a damage cap of 20. This goes through the damage cap. So you can do potentially more than 20 damage a turn with the boot. Or if you have like some shifts, some sword boomerang, multi-hit stuff, this can play. And I didn't talk about Dreamcatcher. This is just a lot of value. You rest a couple times, you get some free card rewards. And Darkstone Period, probably the worst out of the bunch. There are some ancient relics that give you curses. For example, in Act 3, you have like the remove 3 to add a curse, right? So this can play. You have the normality event in Act 2, which we'll get to, like remove 2 card, add a normality. This can play, but you're not really looking to add curses into your deck, so this is probably the worst relic out of the bunch. But even then, it's still not nothing. So all the relics are good, and some are better than others. I will say probably Dreamcatcher will be the best one, and Handrail and the boot are like... Maybe Maulbank is like the second best, and Handrail, boot are like tied. then Darkstone Periop, the worst. But even getting a Darkstone Periop isn't bad. Now let's look at the second option. So the second option, first of all, gives you 100 gold. It's not insignificant. And the quote-unquote downside is you get a random forgotten card from the past. And we will quickly see that this downside isn't even that much of a downside. So here are the random cards from the past you can get. You can get Clash. This is probably the worst one because it's very difficult to play. 0 energy can be played if every card in your hand is an attack, deal 14 damage. On a central 10, you have Ascender's Bane, so if you draw Clash with Ascender's Bane, you're cooked. But if you're able to play this like a couple times in Act 1, it's already okay, right? I have had Clash in Act 1. I played it like one time against a Phantasmal Gardener, and that just advances the fight so much. It saves me enough HP, in addition to the 100 gold I got from the event, so not even that bad, even though it's pretty bad. You can get Rebound, 1 energy, deal 9, put the next card you play this turn on top of your draw pile. It's an attack that has some utility. Not a lot of utility. Some characters can definitely use this better than others. You can like Rebound Defy, for example. That's not bad to keep the enemies perma-weak. You can Rebound like a 0-cost card to play it over and over again. But it's like an okay value attack that retains some value later, and you get 100 gold, right? This comes with 100 gold. So pretty good. Rip and Tear. Deal 7 damage to random enemy twice. Pretty bad card. Not too bad in Act 1 though, right? Just a front load damage card. And you get 100 gold. So once again, all of these quote-unquote curse cards are actually quite good. Distraction. Add a random skill into your hand. It's free to play this turn. Exhaust. Upgrading to 0 cost. A pretty good upgrade. I think skills in this game are probably just a bit better than random silent skills in Spire 1. This is a silent card in Spire 1. Let's say you get this on Necrobinder, you roll like a freaking, like the 3-cost skill that summons 20, right? That's crazy value. So this is actually a pretty good card by itself with a good upgrade. Dual Wield. So this is a pretty weak card in Act 1. Choose attack or power, add a copy of that card into your hand. Upgrading to add 2 copies. Yeah, this is like a combo card. In Act 1, you are not likely to be able to make use of it. However, every time I've gotten Dual Wield from this event, I just end up building a deck that works with Dual Wield. Then this becomes like the best card in your deck. You can Dual Wield some power, get a lot of value, Dual Wield like some random attack. If your attack retains, like Necrobinder has some retain attacks, you can guarantee to line it up. You can get Outmaneuver. So this is Invoke without the summon. Pretty solid on every character. Energy gain can be hard to come by in this game, and here's an energy card. So pretty decent. Stack. That might be also one of the worst ones, up there with Clash. Clash and Stack are probably the worst cards. A little bit too draw dependent. You draw your top deck and you block 0. I don't really like blocking 0. And the upside of Stack is not as big as Clash, right? Not 0 energy do 14. This is like maybe 1 energy block 10. So not ideal. Not the ideal hit. Entrench. Also not great. Double your block, upgrading to 1 cost. This is also a brick, pretty bad in Act 1, and not really a card you can build around with. Barricade Entrench just doesn't really happen, right? But maybe once in a blue moon you can make use of it. Caltrops. 1 energy power whenever you're attacked, deal 3 damage back. Upgrading to deal 5 damage back. This power is just very good. Considering we are in a Underdocks exclusive event, this is insane against every Underdocks elite. Like the Phantasmal Gardener, they multi-hit you, they also, it's an AoE fight, you get value from that. The Terra Eel has a multi-hit, and the Colony, the Thorns actually go through the damage cap. So you get a little more additional damage against the Colony elite. This is like a card I would just pick in a lot of decks. You get it for free, and you get 100 gold. Very good. And finally, Hollow World. At the start of your turn, add a random common card into your hand. Upgrading to innate. This is just card draw. The whole reshuffling thing just doesn't happen. Like, especially early game, you don't care. The common cards are gonna be way better than your base strikes and defense. And even later on, this has synergy. Like, Regent has card generation synergy. If you get Toasting Mittens, you can just exhaust the common cards. Even if you don't have anything, this is just a good effect to have in play, because you have more options every turn. Some characters have insane common cards anyways. Like, you get like some random Defy from this. Completely insane. So another very good card I will pick in a lot of decks. You get it for free and 100 gold. So the overall quality of these random junk cards are actually quite high, and it comes with money. So in this event, both options are good. I will say I do value my HP in Act 1 these days. So if I'm like a bit low, I'm going to a dangerous path, I might just go bottom because I don't lose 8 HP. If I have a shop coming up, I will also go bottom because I got 100 gold. If I'm in a strong position, like my deck is pretty good, I have high HP, I don't need the gold, then I probably go Relic, because some of the low roll junk cards are pretty useless, and pretty much every Relic here is solid. But I think in general, I go like 70% bottom, 30% top, something like that. Both options are quite good. This is another event that's better than Hallway, in my opinion, to go 3 out of 3. That's pretty good. Ripon here. Scriptorium. So obviously, top option always good, right? No downside. You can only get this event if you have 65 gold or more, so you can always take second. And if you have 99 gold, which is what you start with, you start the run with 99 gold, you can go a third option. I will say this event is a contender for another one of the strongest event in Act 1. Retain is crazy. So if you have like, let's say you encounter this event in like floor 2 or something, and you have not picked a card, then I might consider taking second option here, depending on the character. Especially if there's going to be a shop. If you are forced into a shop, I might want to cheap out and take the second option here. However, basically always, floor 2 always combat. Okay, floor 3, because in my mind this is floor 1. This is floor 0. But the game has changed, so floor 1 is Neo. You know what I mean. But yeah, if you have the gold to spare, you're not forced into a shop, you'd always go third option here. Retain is just insane, even if on base cards. Because let's say you just retain a strike, you just don't need to play the strike. You just retain the strike in your hand. It's effectively like a half a card remove. You still need to draw the strike first time around, but you have that strike stay in your hand, and you don't need to redraw it. Let's examine the character starter deck. So Ironclad, the only special card in the starter deck is Bash. You have like a base strike, defend, and Bash. So Retain Bash is pretty good. It lets you line up vulnerable with something. So that's always something. Also, reads an enchantment. So there's always the lighter high roll. You enchant attack. You get lighter, that's decent. So Retain Bash, pretty good. I would just retain Bash Strike if I have not added a single card to my deck. On Ironclad, which is not very likely to happen. In that case, you just go retain Bash and like the good card you picked, if it makes sense. On Silent, you have a Neutralize Survivor. Retain Neutralize actually is really good. Sometimes the enemy don't attack you, right? Then just don't play the Neutralize, you hold it in your hand. Or if the enemy is hitting you for like 10 damage, you drew 2 defense, you can just go double defense strike and just don't play the Neutralize, don't waste the weakness when you don't need it. So Retain Neutralize will save you a lot of HP. It's like half an upgrade, right? If you think about it. If you don't play Neutralize on one turn, effectively you have like extended weakness into next turn. If I have no card added, you can go Neutralize Survivor. Survivor can line up your slide combos. You retain Survivor until you draw a slide card. That's already a lot of value. Regen, you just retain Falling Star Venerate. So once again, you can line up Falling Star with attacks to use Vulnerable. And Venerate, you can just retain it because sometimes you draw like, you need to spend like 3 energy on defending on that turn, but you have to play Venerate next turn to play Falling Star. If you retain it, you can just play your defense on that turn and play Venerate the next turn. That's already a decent thing to do. So retain Falling Star, Venerate is what I would do on Regen. Obviously, you want to retain something else. If you have something else, you can retain like Falling Star and like, I don't know, like No Die Plays maybe. Just any card you've added that makes sense to retain. And retain Royal Gamble so you don't have to upgrade it. Necrobinder, you can just retain Bodyguard Unleash. So once again, you want to unleash when you have Bodyguard built up, so you just save Unleash in your hand. You retain Bodyguard because let's say the enemy is hitting you, you play like double defend, right? To block 10. Then you can save Bodyguard for next turn when the enemy isn't attacking you, you just get summon 5 kind of for free. So Bodyguard Unleash a decent combo to retain. I will retain Unleash and something else instead of Bodyguard usually if you have picked another card, because very frequently you do play Bodyguard every time you draw it. So you can retain Unleash and like, I don't know. Not D5, don't retain an ethereal card, that doesn't do anything. Yeah, pro tip, do not do that. But you can retain Unleash and like poke or something, and that's completely fine. Finally, defect, you can retain Ducast for sure. Ducast is probably the highest value retain out of all the starter cards, because you want to Ducast your Dark Orb, right? You can just sit around on the Ducast, you channel a Dark, you Ducast a Dark, GG. Very, very good retain. You can retain Zap too. But Zap isn't like that good to retain, so if you have something that makes sense to retain, you can retain that instead. For example, Go for the Eyes. Let's say the enemy isn't attacking you, you just hold it until it attacks and you play Go for. That's a pretty good thing. Just for one example. What I'm getting at is, with a base deck on every character, you can already go retain 2. If you have added any other card into your deck, this gets better. This is just a lot of value. I will click this basically every time. Yeah, Feeding Frenzy is a pretty good thing to retain, by the way. Yeah, definitely one of the strongest events in the game. 3 out of 3 for sure. And that's every Underdocks exclusive event. If you have noticed something, every Underdocks exclusive event is broken, which says something about your pathing in Act 1. The fact that events are so good in Act 1 in Underdocks. So I do recommend pathing to quite a few Underdocks events. You obviously still want to get your card rewards from your basic hallways, so like the first 3 at least, they're easy hallways. But after that, you can maximize for elites, then maximize for campfire, then finally maximize for events. Now let's go to the Overgrowth. Alright, let's go to Overgrowth exclusive event. If you thought Underdocks events were good, well, we will see about that. A Room of Chaos, transform a card, upgrade a card. I will say 95% of time you just transform. Transform is very high value. Especially in Act 1, right? You don't have a direction for your deck, you have a bunch of junk. You transform a strike. Either you just get like a high roll, like a Giga card, and that solves the entire run for you. Or you get something that's potentially like a combo card. Usually you would not pick it. But if you transform into it, you can build around. So for example, on Silent, let's say you transform into a Accelerant, right? This card kind of sucks. In your base deck, you have no poison. So you would not really pick Accelerant on like floor 1, floor 2. If you transform into a Accelerant, however, first of all, it's not that much worse than a Strike. Strike is pretty bad. Second of all, now you can pick your poison card because you have an Accelerant in your deck. It opens up a whole new deck building avenue. So even if you like quote unquote low roll your transform, it's still very good. I would transform here 90% of time, which is crazy because the bottom option is also insanely strong. This is very good. If you pretend transform doesn't exist, this is a whole ass campfire you get to upgrade. So in what situation would you upgrade? Let's say you are, let's give you a bad example because I would not really path like this, but let's say you go here, right? You somehow decided to path like this, and this event was transformer upgrade. Then let's say you're not dead by some miracle, you have fought 2 Overgrowth advanced hallways without dying, congrats. Then you have like a pretty good card to upgrade here to solve the elite. In this kind of situation, like no upgrades before the first elite, I would just take the immediate power boost, guaranteed power boost of upgrading to safely fight the elite. So if the path is quite dangerous, you need the upgrade, you have a good upgrade target, then I would consider this upgrade over transform here. Otherwise, in a normal run, I would transform. I would say like 85% of time I transform here. But yeah, both options, very good. Easy 3 out of 3 event. We get accuracy. We have no shifts, right? So usually you will not really pick shift. But with accuracy in the deck already, you pick every shift, you would just win the run. Pretty good. The Urdonus Nest. So either you get max HP, which is fine. Yeah, I get max HP, which is fine. This is a strawberry, not too bad. I would say even if the bottom option didn't exist, this is probably a little better than a hallway, because Overgrowth advanced hallways are also quite nasty. I much rather just eat the egg than fighting advanced hallway in Overgrowth. This bottom option is interesting. I've seen a lot of people say this is like bad, unpickable, like curse, whatever, which is just clearly not the case. You have to realize something. This card, Bird Swoop, 0 energy, 14 damage, especially in the context of Overgrowth, where you need to damage raise elites. It's just crazy. It's probably gonna be better than any damage upgrade you will make at the campfire, right? Because the downside for that event is you have to go to the campfire and hatch an egg. But just having this card in your deck, it's very, very often better than upgrading. Even on Necrobinder. Necrobinder doesn't like attacks, but it's a 0 cost attack. What this card allows you to do on Necrobinder is to block with all energy and still make progress in the fight. You still get to spend 0 energy on a pretty large damage card. Also a good lethality target, right? Also pretty good if you have like any vulnerable, you don't really want to vulnerable your strikes, that kind of sucks. You can vulnerable your bird swoop. So this is actually quite good if you are able to hatch it before your first elite. If you are fighting your elite before a campfire, then you can consider not doing that because you're carrying a curse into an elite and that can kind of screw you over. And maybe like after the elite you want to rest. So I don't really want to take the egg without the fire guaranteed. And another consideration is, do you have like a critical upgrade? If you have a critical upgrade, I will also not take this egg. I mentioned that damage upgrades are probably not, probably not better than this, but there are some upgrades that's better than taking the egg. They're usually probably gonna be something like, honestly, there are not that many upgrades better than getting an egg, but something like a utility upgrade that's not necessarily only damage, something like an uppercut. You can argue something like this is better than getting an egg because you can also get 1 more weak, 1 more vulnerable, so it does a lot more than just more damage. So if you have a very, very, very good upgrade, you can skip this. But this egg is really strong. So I think I will take, it's like a 50-50 for me on this event. If there's a campfire to spare, I will just take the bird on the egg. Otherwise, you can take the top option, which is like kind of free. I would say this event is, it's still better than a hallway fight, so still a 3 out of 3. One consideration is if you take the egg and hatch it, you cannot get Pale's Legion in Act 2. It's kind of weird. You cannot have 2 pets, so you cannot have the Pale's Legion pet. And Pale's Legion is like one of the best relics in the game. That's not like usually a consideration you make. Like you're not even guaranteed to see Pale, right? But just something to keep in mind. Dense Vegetation. So top option, lose 8 HP, gain 61 to 90 gold. To 99 gold, sorry. And we high roll the gold. We almost rolled max. If you cannot fight this fight is the Frog Parasite fight without the big guys, like the 4 small dudes, immediately. So if you are able to take the fight, I will go bottom. So first of all, you get a big heal. This is a campfire heal. This also triggers every campfire relic, your Wriggle Pillow, your tiny mailbox, and whatnot, your Dreamcatcher. Okay, you cannot get Dreamcatcher in Overgrowth, but you know what I mean. It triggers campfire relics. And it's a campfire rust. This fight, if your deck isn't developed, you can die from full HP. Like you heal 21, you heal to full, you die. That's how bad the fight can be. However, let's just get into the fight to show you. They are fighting the 4 dudes, right? What's different between this fight and the Frog Parasite Elite is that you're guaranteed to draw your AoE card. And you are guaranteed to be able to play your AoE card on all of them, right? In a Fraud Parasite, you can like draw like your AoE turn 1, and you don't draw the AoE in the reshuffle, you get screwed. In this fight, you're guaranteed to draw your AoE card. So if you have like a single dagger spray even, this is not too bad. If you have good damage, this is not too bad. This fight really punishes you if you cannot do damage. You get overwhelmed by the curses and they buff strength as well. Then you will die from full HP. It's quite nasty. But if you have good AoE damage or just good damage in general, you can take it. You get your 21 heal. And you also... It's a standard fight to get your card reward. Right? So I would say both options here are decent value. Like top option, just get some gold, not too bad. You don't lose that much HP for it. And bottom option, if you can fight it, it's just much better than a hallway. It's kind of like fighting a hallway, but you also heal. Just make sure you don't die before clicking the bottom option. So once again, I would say this is better than a hallway, usually. 3 out of 3 event. Jungle Maze Adventure. So 2 options here. Top option, lose 18 HP for around 150 gold. It's 135 to 165. And bottom option, just 35 to 65 gold. This is quite disappointing. Bottom option doesn't give you that much gold, and top option... Yeah, lose 18 HP in Overgrowth. Very dangerous. Yeah, very, very dangerous. You can take this top option and just die. I would take this top option if I'm going to like a shop into campfire, right? Something like that, so you are safe and you can use the gold immediately. Gold doesn't do anything if you're dead. So 90% of the time you go bottom here and just kind of a brick floor. This is one of the events that's worse than a hallway in my opinion. Just too low value. I mean, if you can go top option, great, but very, very unlikely you can go top option here. So it's gonna be a 1 out of 3. If you have good sustain, like some Eternal Feather, some meat on the bone somehow, you can also go top option. But usually 18 HP is just way too much. This event can only occur if you have 150 gold or more. 150 gold or more. So 2 options here. Bottom option is pay 100 to 150 gold for a random relic. And top option, remove 2, add a Spore Mine to your deck. Spore Mine is just 1 cost, curse, exhaust. It's a pretty rare event because you need exactly 150 or more gold to encounter it. Both options here are quite good. Remove 2 for a curse, essentially kind of like +1 remove, and the curse exhausts. So maybe like +1.5 removes. Some characters like this a lot better than others, namely Necrobinder, because you remove 2 strikes, you add a curse. Strikes are curses anyways on that character. Very high value for Necro. It's fine for the other characters. If you're weak, I would recommend getting the relic here to get that immediate power boost, because you are breaking your draw with a curse, right? You actually do like your strikes to do damage in other characters, especially in Overgrowth. You do need to do damage. So maybe consider how strong you are. If you're not able to take the curse in the short term, you can go bottom here. I would say on Necrobinder, much more often you go top. On other characters, it's like 50-50 split. Paying some money for a relic is generally worth it. Even a common relic, it's still a below rate, right? You're paying in this, it's like on sale. You just don't know what you get, but generally every relic in this game is quite strong. Yeah, that's pretty good. So this event, I would say also 3 out of 3. A little better than a hallway. Another broken event in Act 1. This can only occur if you have at least 2 transformable cards, which is not really a thing. Like, that basically always is true. Bottom +5 max HP, sure, it's okay. Top option, however, this is very good. First of all, you get rid of 2 strikes. Strikes are horrible. Second of all, you get 2 rolls into potentially a card that wins you the run on the spot, or just like a solid card. I think I will pay... I think I will pay 200 gold for Transform 2 for sure. Maybe 250 gold, you can think about it. Like 200 gold or below, I don't even need to think. I already clicked Transform 2. Yeah, that's pretty good. A lot better than strikes and defense. Well, strikes, because you basically always go Transform 2 strikes on every character. But yeah, easily also one of the strongest events in Act 1. Definite 3 out of 3. Hey, look, another Act 1 event that's completely broken. Alright, so Sapphire Seed, top option, upgrade the card. So Campfire, already higher value than an average hallway. And you heal 9. It's not nothing. I mean, the heal 9 is not that big, but it's not nothing. So already, ignoring the bottom option, this is already very strong. Bottom option, the first time you play this card, each combat gain 1 energy, that's zone. So basically, one of your cards cost 1 less energy. That's generally gonna be better than an upgrade. It's like an energy upgrade, right? Basically. An energy upgrade is probably better than any upgrade you can make in your deck. Even in your base deck, this is already not bad. You can upgrade Bash or Zone Bash on Ironclad, and suddenly your Bash only costs 1 energy. You put this on any power, effectively that power just costs 1 less, right? You put it on anything that duplicates. You put it on Anger, the copy of the Anger that it generates will make you 1 energy. And on Necrobinder, you have your block, your Undeath, the copy of Undeath. They will generate an energy. So usually you have a very, very good target to solve. I think I click bottom option 99% of the time, even though top option is also kind of insane. This energy, it's just so good in the early game. Also, it's an enchantment. If you enchant attack, you can get lighter, potentially. I wouldn't really recommend playing around that. Usually just enchant like a expensive card, or a card that draws, or a card that replicates itself. So another event, much better than hallway, 3 out of 3. Okay, yeah, some Predator, some accuracy. Both not bad. Next event, Tablet of Truth. Decipher, basically upgrade a random card and the HP number goes up. It goes from 3 to 6 to 12 to 24, so it doubles. After 24, it will set your max HP to 1, upgrade all your cards. That's gonna be throwing. I do not recommend going to 1 max HP unless you're doing some challenge run. Bottom option, just heal 20, a very chunky heal. If you can use heal 20, this is always gonna be good. Random upgrades are quite strong, and max HP in this game doesn't matter too much. So if you're not like super low, I recommend clicking Decipher like 2 times, or until you're starting to lose real HP, right? Let's say you're missing some HP, you lose your 3 max HP, you don't even take real damage right now in the act. You do it another time, you have lost 9 max HP for 2 random upgrades. That's a good value trade. The third one, the lose 12, you might want to stop. That's getting a little suspicious. So very frequently you go 2 clicks on top. If you're low and the path is dangerous, you can go bottom. Let's say the heal 20 buys you like an extra upgrade at the campfire. That might be better than random upgrades because you can target it. So both options here, very, very good. We can click top for fun to see what the upgrades. Yeah, defend upgrade pretty good. Defend upgrade pretty good. So I would say Tablet of Truth, another event better than Hallway, 3 out of 3. Unrest Site. This event only occurs if you are missing 30% of your max HP or more. So if you're low HP, basically, because it gets you a full heal. So heal to full HP, obviously a very powerful effect. You do get a curse. This curse retains, so it's effectively ethereal. You only need to draw it 1 time, so it's not that bad. Bottom, lose 8 max HP and get a random relic. If I'm not like literally dying, I would just go bottom here. Once again, 8 max HP, not too much, and random relic, very, very good value. Relics are broken in this game. If you're like dying, you can go top. Then you're not dying anymore. So either option, quite good. I would say 90% of the time I go bottom here. But if you can use the heal, go take the heal. So once again, probably better than a hallway. 3 out of 3. Wow, that's kind of crazy. Just to illustrate my point that random relics are good. Wellspring. You have 2 options here. Procure a random potion. Just potion for free, not bad. Or remove a card and the Guilty. Guilty is a curse that removes itself after 5 combats. Top option is always fine. Like if you have an open potion slot, you just go top if you need it. Makes the act a lot more secure. Bottom option, it's short-term danger for a long-term payoff. It's effectively a free remove after 5 combats. But in the short term, you have a Guilty. So if you're fighting like a bunch of elites with a pretty dangerous path, and you have a potion slot open, I would just go top here, get a random pot, secure your Act 1. Then this is pretty good, right? Bottom here, so once again, strikes are curses on Necrobinder, so any removal events are a bit better on Necro. But on every character, removes are good. Let's say you have full potion slots and the path isn't super dangerous. I would just go bottom here to get rid of a strike. There's sometimes a consideration not taking bottom even though you have 2 pots. Because the curse can actually kill you against Overgrowth elites. If your deck isn't very good, I would still go top here with 2 pots. So I'm probably like 70% of the time I go bottom here, and 30% I go potion, but both options here are pretty valuable, better than a hallway usually. So it's like on the weaker side of an event, but still gonna give it 3 out of 3 because it's better than a hallway. You can see what potion we get. That's pretty good. Pretty good potion. Whispering Hollow. Oh, another broken Act 1 event. What do you look at that? So first of all, top option, lose money for 2 pots. That's a very good value option. You're paying a massive discount for 2 potions. So if you're dying somehow, you can go top here. I think I've clicked top like a couple times, but majority of the time you go bottom. 9 HP for a transform. So once again, I don't need to repeat myself. Transforms are good. This is no exception. This event can only occur if you have 50 gold or more, so you can always afford to take the pot. If you're literally dying and you have the potion slot, you can go top here. Otherwise, just go transform. That's pretty good. Well, transformers are pretty good, huh? Yeah, another event that's better than hallway, much better than hallway. It's a 3 out of 3. Probably my favorite because you got 3 options that's viable. I've taken all 3 here. Wood carvings. So top option, transform a base card into a pack. Pack is 1 energy attack, do 2 damage 3 times. I always transform strike. I have never transformed defend into pack before. That's probably what you should do. This is the Phantom technology. You're in Overgrowth. You're actually in a Phantom Act. And this strips Phantom slippery charges quite well. So pack is like a Phantom killing card, basically. Or if you have some strength synergy, it can be good. But I would say outside of those situations, I don't really want pack. It's also a good miniature cannon upgrade. So there are some synergies there. Middle one, Slither. When you draw this card, randomize the cost from 0 to 3. So on average, 1.5. Enchanting a 2 cost or higher card will be a little energy positive. So if you have like a bludgeon or something, you put it on the bludgeon, it's insane. A lot of the time, you do not really have a Slither target because you're in Act 1, you might not have picked a expensive card. Finally, we get to Taurus. You transform a starter card into Tauric Toughness. So once again, I always transform strike without exception. I don't think I have ever transformed a defend. Tauric Toughness, 2 energy skill, gain 5 block for the start of the next 2 turns, so 15 block in total. That card has a very good upgrade. Upgrade to 7, so 21 in total. I think I click Tauric Toughness most often. It's a very good defensive option, even though it's like a little slow. It takes 3 turns to pay off. But it has a very good upgrade. It's a very dense block card. Has very, very good synergies with any dexterity, any Pale's Legion. It's crazy with Pale's Legion. Crazy with Unmovable. Also plays with Dance Macabre on Necrobinder. That's like an excuse for you to get into Dance Macabre. Plays with the Intimidating Helmet. Plays with Dexterity. Any oddly smooth stone increases the value of this. Very, very good card. Plays with the Shadow Mail on Silent. Another example of a synergy. This Tauric Toughness just gets better and better as the run progresses. You can make it better very easily on every character. Very solid defensive option. So I think I go Taurus like 70-80% of the time. Bird like maybe 15% because Phantom is a freaking evil guy. It's very difficult. And Pack deals with Phantom pretty cleanly. Slither, the most situational one. If you have a good target, just do it. If you don't. Very simple. Very, very good event. Another 3 out of 3. It's like 4 out of 3, honestly. It's like crazy strong, but I'm not gonna really compare events to each other. 3 out of 3 just means it's better than a hallway. I have built a deck that has no strikes. You cannot get Nimble because you're in Overgrowth. And you cannot get the Underdocks event. Alright, that's every Overgrowth event. Once again, they're kind of crazy, so I would recommend in your pathing maximizing elites, maximizing campfires, and maximizing events. Alright, now let's get into Act 2. Act 2 exclusive events. Alright, first one. This is the Ultimate Strike or Defend event. remove 2 strikes, add ultimate strike, remove 2 defense, add ultimate defend. Both options here are very good. You remove 2 garbages, you add like a pretty solid value card into your deck. If you have like Molten Egg, Toxic Egg, this will come upgraded. If you have like the Nimble Relic from Act 1, the ultimate defend will come with a Nimble +2. Ultimate defense still works with Fasten, but if you have Fasten, you don't want to remove 2 defense. You actually want your base defense in your deck. Basically, every time I go remove 2 strikes here, remove 2 complete garbages, and add a card that's like okay. 1 energy 14, not too bad. Defense can play a bit more if you have like dexterity, so I'm a little bit more reluctant to remove 2 defense. But if you have a reason to make defense better, mostly like the nimble thing, you get a nimble ultimate defense +2 block, you can consider bottom option. Also, sometimes like all your strikes are upgraded, or you have strike on me or something, you can also consider the bottom one. Because sometimes you have like whetstone, right? And just somehow have every strike be green. But yeah, both options very good. I think 90% I go top and 10% I go bottom. Clearly better than hallway. It's gonna be 3 out of 3. If you remove 2 upgraded cards, the copy will not be upgraded. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, the ultimate strike will not be upgraded, even though if like both strikes are upgraded there. Next event, Bug Slayer. Top, add Exterminate to your deck. So Exterminate 1 energy attack AoE. Deal 3 damage to all enemies 4 times. So base 12. Very good strength carrier, very good enchantment carrier. Also, there's the Desert Millipede running around in Act 2, so you might want to consider this if you do not have AoE. Bottom option, add Squash, 1 energy, deal 10 damage, apply to vulnerable, basically 1 energy bash. The upgrade to those cards are pretty good. Actually, upgrade to Exterminate is not that good unless you have Miniature Cannon, then it's crazy. But upgrade to Squash is quite good. It's 1 more turn of vulnerable and 2 more damage. So a lot of people don't like this event because it forces you to add a card to your deck, and that feels bad. However, both cards are good, right? Basically, every character can use vulnerable. Even Necrobinder can use vulnerable. You have Sleight of Flash or just attacks, lethality, whatnot. Artifact Straight for Defy. So even in Necrobinder decks, I still want Squash. And Exterminate, if you are struggling for AoE, if you have Strength, you have any Akabeko, you can go top. Miniature Cannon, crazy with Exterminate. So both cards are good in certain situations. I go bottom more often. Vulnerable is just a worthwhile status to have access to. Some characters have very limited access to vulnerable, like Silent. You only got the expose, right? And expose exhaust. And Silent really likes vulnerable. Makes your shivs much larger. Ironclad also loves vulnerable. You can play this instead of your garbage splash. Spend 1 energy instead too. But yeah, both options are viable. Bottom option in a vacuum probably a bit better because vulnerable is just good. But top option has a crazy synergy. I think I go like 80% bottom, 20% top. But either way, this is better than a hallway for sure. A 3 out of 3 event. This is my favorite event in the game. Also one of the most broken event in the entire game. Colorful Philosophers. You get to look at 3 cards from 3 random characters. It's completely random. You just cannot get your own character. And you're guaranteed a common and uncommon and a rare. So you're guaranteed a rare card from another character. That's insane. So on average, Clad and Silent has the most broadly useful cards. Silent has like all the dexterity stuff, your after image, your volley plans, whatnot. Ironclad has a lot of like offering, right? I would just pick offering anyways, even though you don't have Burning Blood. That card's crazy. Unmovable, stuff like that. The Ironclad Silent has the most broadly useful cards. Ironclad also has Exhaust, Synergy, Feel No Pain, Dark Embrace, and every character can use that. You have like your Souls on Necrobinder, your Shifts on Silent. Defect Regent, a little bit suspicious. Regent, if you get anything that just requires stars, you're kind of screwed. And on Defect, you don't really want orbs. Finally, Necrobinder, which is like middle of the road. It's like fine, but not as good as Clad Silent. I would say Clad Silent are the best ones. Necro is like middle, and Defect, Regent are a little sus. But the fact that you get guaranteed rare card is crazy, right? Wow. But like that. Also like Demon Form. Imagine if you have like Shivs, you play Demon Form, GG. Uppercut not bad. Like if you can play the uppercut, it's pretty good. Even this card isn't too bad, right? But usually I skip the common pretty frequently. In this one, you can consider the Tremble. That's just a generically useful card. Yeah, Colorful Philosophers, one of the strongest event in the entire game. Also a very fun event, you get to see cards from other classes. Easy 3 out of 3. Alright, Colossal Flower. This event, for me, basically only has 2 options. If you click bottom option, you can stop. You can stop after 1 click and cash out, but you should commit to either top or bottom here. So if you go top, you just get 35 gold. That's not very good. If you get bottom, after clicking this 3 times, you lose 18 HP. It's quite steep to pay for, but the thing you get from paying this 18 HP is a very, very good relic. Every 4 turns, draw 2 additional cards. A lot of card draw in a relic, you can set it up. If you set it up, it's a backup prep. Because you set it up for turn 1 you draw 2 additional cards. That's crazy. I will pay 18 HP for a backup prep that can potentially proc 1 more time in combat, right? So if I have the HP to spare, let's say I can go to a campfire afterwards, I go rust. I'll just go bottom and take my relic. If not, you just go 35 and get out. Don't lose the HP, right? Don't die. I think like 70% of the time I go bottom and get my relic, and 30% of the time I go top and just get 35 gold and get out. Sometimes you actually consider clicking 2 times and cash out once 35. Like you're going to like an immediate shop. Then this gold might be better than this because you also get plus 7 HP, right? If your deck has a lot of card draw already like a backup prep, Centennial Puzzle, some Runic Pyramid stuff, you can consider cashing out here. That's a decent chunk of change. But that doesn't really happen very often. Very often you go relic here. Very strong relic. But yeah, if you are able to spend that HP for the relic, this event is very strong. Stronger than Hallway for sure. If not, then 35 gold kind of sucks. That's weaker than a Hallway. I think on average, it's a little path dependent, but you can like pretend you lost 18 HP to fighting elite and get this relic. So like most runs, this is stronger than Hallway. I would still give it 3 out of 3, but it's like kind of borderline. Alright, next event. Field of man-sized holes. So top option, remove 2, add a normality. Bottom option, enchant a card with perfect fit. Perfect fit. When you shuffle, it's placed on top. There are some very, very good perfect fit targets. Namely, something like a battle trance, like a 0-cost draw. Extremely strong. Something like maybe something like a Thrash, right? You want to play your Thrash ASAP. Pretty decent perfect fit target. It's also enchantment, so plays with lighter. Top option, kind of like a +1 card remove 2 for a curse. It's a pretty bad curse in some decks. Like Silent Shift decks, for example, you kind of need to spam your shifts, and you cannot really take normality. You will lose. So if you cannot take normality, just go bottom. There are some relics and decks that can deal with it. Like the Mittens, Toasty Mittens, then it's free, right? Just exhaust normality. You have like something like a charge on Regent. Just get rid of normality. Some decks don't really spam cards. You can carry the normality around until you go to a shop and remove it. So I would say bottom option, not very high value. Like not every deck can actually use it. There are some high-roll perfect fit targets, like your Battle Trance, something like a charge on Regent, for example, can be very good, but usually this basically kind of doesn't do anything. And top option, a little situational. Sometimes it's free removes, sometimes you cannot really take it. I would say this event is like fine. Bottom option always positive, of course, but can just be doing pretty much nothing. And top option, pretty strong if you can take it, but cannot really take it every time. Maybe I would just say it's a 2 out of 3, probably like roughly equivalent to a Hall event. Then we get lighter, perfect fit, exterminate, GG. Imagine. Alright, next event, Infested Automaton. Study, obtain random power, touch the core, obtain random 0-cost. This is very character dependent. Like you just gotta look at your character's card pool. You can filter by 0-cost, right? And you ask yourself, do I want these 0-cost cards? And are they better than powers? And after you look at every option here, you can decide which one is better. There are some pretty good high rolls on 0-cost, right? On Clad, you have like your Offering, your even Bloodletting, Battle Trance, Brand, all of these 0-costs are pretty good. Anger, Bully, Spite are like the low rolls. Sometimes they are good cards in your deck. Like if you already have Life Loss, Spite is actually a good card. Silent, probably a little suspicious. Also, silent powers are OP as hell. So on Silent, probably go power more than 0-cost. Ironclad. Ironclad has some pretty low roll powers like Hellraiser, like your Juggling. Your Juggernaut, if you cannot support it, your Stampede is like pretty bad in Act 2 now. Your Aggressions, there are some low roll powers on Ironclad. I think Ironclad 0-cost is gonna be better on average. I mean, silent powers are freaking broken. There's like one low roll, just Master Planner. That's like an awful card. Master Planner, Speedster, probably. The other stuff here are crazy. Regent has some pretty bad powers. Genesis, like the sword stuff if you're not playing with Sovereign Blade. Your Neutron Aegis, pretty bad. Pale Blue Dot, not very good. Even something like a Black Hole, not really what I want. And regen 0 costs are quite strong. Because all the star stuff are 0 cost, right? Like your comet and whatnot. So regen probably goes 0 cost more often than power. Necro 0 cost, pretty strong. A lot of rares here. And the 0 cost OST attacks can be built around. Misery probably the worst out of the bunch. Necro powers are also pretty good. Yeah, most necro powers are good. So necro binder is like a 50-50. Finally, defect. Defect powers are very, very, very strong. Especially if you already have some status stuff, then the status powers also play. And defect 0 cost, also not bad. Yeah, defect 0 cost, also not bad. Just like claw, that's the low roll. So defect also like 50-50 based on your deck. But yeah, this event, it's like a little inconsistent. You can low roll pretty badly here, then you actually add a curse into your deck. So I would say this event is like equivalent to a hallway. It's gonna be 2 out of 3. Yeah, like, I mean, that card's like okay. Right, maybe you don't really want this kind of things already in Act 2. Yeah, this event is based on rarity, so you're very unlikely to get a rare. You're more likely to get common, uncommon. Unlike a lot of the random card generation in the game. That's another thing. Lost Wisp. The top option, capture the Wisp. Add a decay to your deck, obtain Lost Wisp. Whenever you play a power, deal 8 damage to all enemies. Bottom option, get some money. Bottom option can always be clicked. It's like fine. Top option. It's a very easy calculus to do. Look at your deck, how many powers do you have? Do you want AoE? Because the Decimillipede is running around. If the answers to that is yes, just go Lost Wisp. That relic is really good, even though you do get a curse into your deck. Also, in Act 3, there's the Scrolls of Biding, right? That's gonna completely destroy you. Especially if your deck is power spam and you have no front load to cover for you. You will get destroyed by the Scrolls of Biding in Act 3. However, you have a Lost Wisp, you play 3 powers, they're dead. So it's a very clean solution to the Scrolls of Biding in Act 3 and Decimillipede, right? Very difficult elite in Act 2. So if you have like 2 or 3 powers, this is good. If you do not need the AoE, like your deck has front load. If you have front load, even if you have powers, you go bottom. This covers a weakness for your deck, the front load AoE damage situation. If your deck does not have that weakness, even if it has a lot of powers, you just go bottom because you don't want to add a curse, right? And bottom is fine. Get some money. I think both options here are clicked pretty equally for me. Maybe like a 50-50 split. Both options are solid. This event should be better than hallway. A 3 out of 3. This relic is really good. It's just that if you don't need the front load damage, you don't really want to draw the curse. Oh, this event is a fun one. Spirit Grafter. Top option, get a big chunk of HP. You're guaranteed a 25 HP heal and a Metamorphosis. Bottom option, lose 10, upgrade a card. Bottom option usually can just be clicked. Let's just say you click this and just go rest at the campfire, right? If you need a rest, you can sometimes even just upgrade twice. It's fine. Upgrades are pretty decent. I'll pay 10 HP for an upgrade. However, Metamorphosis is actually a decent card, especially on the region, right? First of all, region has card gen synergy with like Pillars of Creation. Suddenly, this Metamorphosis also makes block. Second of all, Regent attacks, if they're free to play, they are crazy because you also do not pay stars. Not only do they not cost energy, you also do not pay stars. So Metamorphosis on Regent is just a good card. And you get a heal. On the other characters, it's like a little bit more suspicious. This card is a little slow, right? Even though the free attacks are generally gonna be a positive effect, you do pay 2 for it. And it's a skill against the Dorito of Evil, so you might even take damage the turn you play Metamorphosis. So on other characters, a little worse. But even then, it's a strong effect. Let's say for something like the Insatiable, it's like decent scaling for the Insatiable. You play some free attacks. GG. And 25 heal is massive. If you're missing more than 25 HP and like the path is dangerous, you can just take your heal and add like a half curse, so to speak. Not even a half curse, it's like an okay card. Just take your heal. If you are in a strong spot, you don't need the healing, have a free upgrade. So on Regent, the top option is insane. On other characters, you can consider what to do here. But overall, pretty strong event. I would say it's gonna be a 3 out of 3. 25 healing, just so much healing. That's like the main takeaway. The Lantern Key. This event is significantly nerfed. So top option, return the key, gain 100 gold. I mean, that's very good, just get money, rich, right? Not too bad. Bottom option, fight this guy. It's a pretty difficult fight. And obtain the key. The key, Lantern Key is a quest, unplayable, unlocks a special event in Act 3. So the first event you go to in Act 3 will guaranteed to be the Lantern Key event. And if you do that event in Act 3, this quest gets removed. So you have to carry this around into Act 3, and you go to one Act 3 event, and you get a pretty strong event in Act 3. These days, very frequently, I just go top, especially if you're weak in the short term or if you're going to a store and can spend the money immediately. Let's talk about the History Course Relic, because that's what the key gets you. So if you carry that quest into Act 3, you will get History Course. At the start of your turn, play a copy of your last played attack. This used to be attack and skill, which was wrong winning, stronger than an Ancient Relic. Now it's only attack. It's a lot worse. I think these days, the only character that has worthwhile attacks to replicate is Defect. I think History Course on Defect is still broken. Let's just look at Defect attacks. Cold Snap. Okay, that's like one of the worst ones. Still, good value. Uproar, crazy target. Null, crazy target. Refract, crazy target. Sunder, right? Meteor Strike. Ice Lands. Even something like an All for One. Defect has insane attacks to replicate, because a lot of the time you want to get some block from your History Course, and Defect has the most access to block in the attacks because Frost and Weakness. Also, you're picking these high cost attacks on Defect more often. On other characters, not so much. Yeah, on other characters, not so much. Also, Defect can do this fight. Usually you're strong enough as a Defect to actually do this fight. On other characters, maybe you will take too much damage here and get owned. There's another option in the History Course event in Act 3 is you give up the quest to get 2 free relics and 2 free potions, but it's power for way later, right? You're giving up a lot of power immediately for power way later. And in this game, you usually want power now compared to power later, so you can snowball. And this gives you power now, you get gold, potentially that can be spent immediately. and you do not get a curse, and you do not like take 50 damage to this fight. So like, as I say, 98% of the time you just take top, and 2% of the time you can consider fighting this. But 100 gold, not bad. I mean, you walked into a floor, you get 100 gold. Wow, it's pretty sick. So I would say this is still better than a hallway. 3 out of 3. All right, the last Act 2 exclusive event, Zen Viewer. 3 options here. Pay 50 gold for 2 enlightenments. Enlightenment reduce the cost of all cards in your hand to 1 this turn exhaust. Upgrading to reduce the cost of all cards in your hand to 1 this combat. So instead of this turn, it says this combat exhaust. Pay 125 gold to remove a card. Pay 250 gold to remove 2 cards. You can only get this event if you have at least 125. So second option will always be available. Sometimes the third option will not be available. Enlightenments are bad cards. Unless your deck is doing something pretty special, like some Meteor Strike stuff. You have maybe a lot of draw. Maybe you have Dark Embrace, Feel No Pain or something. Then they can potentially be good. I have had decks that just wanted enlightenments. But 99% of the time, it's just adding 2 bricks for $50, which sucks. You're paying money, and you're making your deck worse. Wow. Incredible. Good thing they exhaust, huh? Second option, pay 125 gold for 1 remove. On paper, it's a good rate. Removes are pretty expensive in this game. You pay $100 for the first remove. You pay $150 for the second remove, right? So 125, it's a slightly above average rate for 1 remove. And similar story, 250 for 2 removes. It's also slightly above average rate for 2 removes. However, it's a lot of gold to give up, especially if you're going to a store. Very frequently, you have way better things to do than removing. You want to buy relic, buy potion, buy card. So you want to hold on to your gold to go to the shop. So this removes a lot of agency from you in pathing. You suddenly don't have gold into the shop. And it's effectively trading, like compare this to a hallway fight. You fight a hallway, you get some potion, card, gold. You're trading that for a floor that just spends your gold to get removed. It's not like remove for free, right? You don't get an upside, you're spending your gold for remove. So this event, a lot worse than a normal combat. Sometimes the enlightenments can be good. Sometimes you're not going to a shop. You have too much money and nothing to do with it. Then you can like remove some cards. That's okay. But very frequently, this is a scam. You just go middle and cry. That's pretty much it. On Necrobinder, I do click number 3 quite a lot because removes are just broken on that character. But that's like 1 character out of 5. That's just like the worst Act 2 event, probably. Pretty bad. Easy 1 out of 3. I think that's every Act 2 exclusive event in the game. But yeah, Act 2 events on average are very good, but there's like the big brick on the spider event, but every other event, very, very strong. I think there's this like concept of Act 2 events being bad, which is just not the case. Act 2 events are very strong. First one, Battle Worn Dummy. So you can fight a target dummy that doesn't hit you. It just sits there and runs away for after 3 turns. So you got 3 turns to kill it. You can have 3 settings. It either has 75, 150, 300 HP. You get random pot, upgrade 2 cards, or obtain random relic. Generally, Option 1 is kind of useless if you have potions already. If you do not have full potion slot, maybe you go option 1. Setting 2 to random upgrade, it's alright. By the time you're in Act 3, this maybe hits random base defense base strike is not very high value. Sometimes you can high roll, but I would not count on it. Setting 3, random relic, very good. However, your deck needs to be able to do 300 damage in 3 turns, which is very hard for most decks. Some decks can do it, but this is basically impossible most runs. Even setting 2 is very hard for a lot of runs, and setting 1, a very low value option, honestly. So even if you're able to do setting 2, this is still kind of bad. Battle Worn Dummy, a 1 out of 3 for me. I'd rather just fight hallway, honestly, to get my guaranteed card reward potion gold. Yeah, this guy sits here and runs away after 3 turns. I mean, if you're able to get a relic, then great, but it's just like pretty impossible for most runs. Grave of the Forgotten. So either you can add a decay to your deck and enchant a card that exhausts with Soul's Power. You have to have a card that exhausts in your deck for this event to show up. Or Forgotten Soul, whenever you exhaust a card, deal damage to a random enemy. First option has the potential to be wrong-witting. Every character has a pretty good target. So Ironclad has a lot of targets, but you have like your the big one is Offering, right? Non-exhausting Offering, insane. Non-exhausting not yet. It's very strong, but like a little cringe. Non-exhausting Forgotten Ritual, reusable energy can be good. But the big hit on Ironclad is Offering. Silent, the big hit is Adrenaline, obviously, but also Cal Gamble, Expose can be situationally pretty good. The Hunt, if you want to do that, I don't really want to do that. Malay's also not bad. Even like a Piercing Wheel can be good. Regent, do not put it on Bombardment. Do not put it on Bombardment. But Big Bang is pretty good. Or like some guards or decisions. Regent doesn't have that many targets for this relic. Mostly just Big Bang. Necrobinder has some targets. You can do Putrefy, you can do Dirge even. You can do Reanimate, you can do Sure Fate. Not really worth it for the curse unless you can play around the Dirge. Defect also doesn't really matter. The big one is Algo. You just kind of sit there and make this Algo like 500. It's a pretty cringe thing to do, but you can do it, it's good. But yeah, other than that, not many good value target on Defect. Maybe Super Critical, right? And there are some ancient cards. That's a pretty good target. Abundance, the new Niall bonus, that's a good target for it. Whistle, another pretty good target for not exhausting. Apparition, of course. Relax, you could consider. It's a good card to redraw. I don't know why you will put it on Apotheosis, but I guess. Oh yeah, Necro has Scythe. You can make Scythe not exhaust. But here are some hits for this enchantment. You will know if you want it if you see this event. This bottom relic is like a bit of nothing, to be honest. The damage here is not very significant. I guess it's pretty good with like shivs or souls. Forgotten soul for souls, right? But yeah, bottom relic basically a bit of a nothing. But yeah, not like super high impact event. If you have like the Giga High Roll on the enchantment, it's very good, obviously. But I think most runs you don't have the Giga High Roll. Then you take like the relic, then you are kind of sad because this relic doesn't do anything. So I would say it's like an equivalent to a hallway fight, 2 out of 3. Putrefy isn't a bad target. Next event, Hungry for Mushrooms. You have a big mushroom, draw 2 fewer cards on turn 1, and get 20 max HP. That's a lot of max HP. Second option, lose some HP, upgrade 2 random cards. A lot of the time in Act 3, you're in the situation where you're low on HP because you fought an Act 3 Elite. And Act 3 Elite are pretty dangerous, to be honest. Then you're kind of forced into top here because you cannot afford to lose 15 HP. And the upside of 2 random upgrade isn't really worth your isn't really worth 15 HP, even if you're like pretty healthy. However, the big mushroom downside, it's pretty bad. Yeah, the downside is pretty bad. Drawing 2 fewer cards on turn 1, you will notice it. You draw 3 cards on turn 1. You don't draw into your powers and you cry. The max HP doesn't really make up for it. If you have something like Bag of Prep or like a set of relic that draws on turn 1, this is a lot better, of course. Sometimes you have relics that add like random cards into your hand on turn 1, like Toolbox or like Big Hat Necrobinder. Then this is also fine. So if you are having a good turn 1, you could consider it because 20 is a lot of max HP. Otherwise, I would just go bottom here, lose some HP and cry. If you are literally dying, then maybe don't go bottom, go top. Yeah, not a great value event, to be honest. If you take Big Mushroom, your character model gets literally bigger. It's kind of funny. I would say this is worse than Hallway, 1 out of 3. Alright, next Act 3 event, Reflections. So this is your dupe deck. Either you touch the mirror, downgrade 2 random cards, upgrade 4 random cards, or Shatter, duplicate your deck, receive Bad Luck. Bad Luck is a curse that makes you lose 13 HP if it's in your hand at the end of the turn. You can exhaust it with like a Tyranny or Toasty Mittens or discard it with Tools of the Trade. So you do have ways to deal with it, but it's a very, very bad curse. Touch a Mirror sucks. Usually your targeted upgrades are good, right? So you downgrade the upgrades you made by hand, you upgrade some random crap, very often just strikes, then you basically lose 2 upgrades. So both options here suck. Another issue with duplicating your deck is that you had a lot worse draw order. You duplicate your deck, you have like a bunch of base cards. You don't really draw the critical power you want, even though you have double the power, but you have more garbage as well. So your draw order is gonna suck. So even ignore the bad luck part of this option, it's just not a great effect. There are things that make Shatter dupe deck a lot better. First of all, Eon Glass. If you dupe your deck, you just don't draw the Eon Glass Withers, right? That fights a reshuffle. If you reshuffle into Withers, you kind of get owned. You dupe your deck, then you don't draw the Withers. So Shatter, not too bad for Eon Glass. And I mentioned that there are some things like Tyranny. Tyranny is innate upgrade as well, so you can guarantee Tyranny turn 1. There are things that just exhaust Bad Luck for free. Your Toasty Mittens, your Tyranny. 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 Your Toasty Mittens And the biggest use case for me is combine dupe deck with the electric shrimp on Ouroboros, because you dupe your imbued card, so you effectively doubles your ancient relic. Let's say you imbue something crazy like a Necrobinder, like reanimate, then you dupe it, you have double imbued reanimate. You summon 40 on turn 1, upgrading to 50. So if you do have a shrimp, this can go hard. But yeah, usually you just go top and cry, because you effectively make your deck worse. The upgrade can hit the same card it downgraded, so sometimes you just downgrade the card and upgrade it back. That can happen. But yeah, most runs, this is not a good event to see. Also, sometimes you don't have 2 cards to downgrade. You know? You can still get this event. Let's say your entire deck is downgraded. You don't have a single upgrade. You just go boom, upgrade for free. I mean, I hope you have made some upgrades throughout your run, but you know, sometimes that happens. Yeah, dupe is pretty funny with Bing Bong. You get double bad luck too. And I guess dupe deck with like a clone deck is like fine. Like you clone Big Bang, you dupe it, you get like 5 billion Big Bangs. That's fine. But yeah, this event generally pretty bad. 1 out of 3. The round tea party. So enjoy your tea, obtain royal poison, heal to full. Royal poison is a relic. At the start of each combat, lose 4 HP. Or pick a fight, lose 11 HP, get a random relic. So bottom option, basically you fought an elite. You lost 11 HP in the elite fight, you get a relic. Not bad. Top option, unless you're like literally dying, I do not really recommend, right? You don't want to have royal poison. It's like not that bad. It's like minus 8 HP into the bosses, so not that big of a downside. But you're also giving up a real relic. The opportunity cost of just get a random relic. This has some synergies with Centennial Puzzle. That's pretty good. Right? Tungsten Rod mitigates the downside a little bit. But yeah, the big synergy is Centennial Puzzle, because you just get draw 3 turn 1 with that. That's not bad. And another synergy is your Demon Tongue, because you lose 4 HP, then just heal 4 HP. And then there's no downside. So that's another big synergy. But yeah, outside of these things, I do not really want to go top here unless I'm literally dying and I can use the full heal. Then it can be clutch, right? Getting the full heal is pretty big. But yeah, you can not see this event if you have at least, unless you have more than 11 HP. So you have to have 12 HP to see this event. So you cannot really die by picking bottom, like literally die. But yeah, I think 99% of the time you go bottom here. It's good value, 11 HP for relic, not bad. So I would say this event is pretty good, 3 out of 3, because relics are good. I will say relics are worse in Act 3 because like some of the long-term payoff relics don't do anything, like the gold relics. They don't do anything in Act 3, but on average, relics are still pretty good. That's like okay. Yeah, like if you get something like this in Act 3, you're not that happy because it's starting to fall off. Potentially the best Act 3 event, Tinker Time. You get to add a custom card to your deck. So you can make a skill, you can make an attack, you can make a power. You get 2 out of the 3 every time you see this event. So let's talk about the attack first. There are 3 versions of the attack. So the base card is 1 energy 12. And you can either do choking. Whenever you play a card this turn, the enemy loses 6 HP. That's probably the worst one, but still have some uses. If you're spamming like shifts or souls or stuff like that. Second one, sapping, apply 2 weak to Vaughn. 1 energy, 12 damage, 2 weak to Vaughn. That's a good card. It's an uppercut for 1 energy. Pretty good. And the third one is hits 2 additional times, so 1 energy, do 12 damage 3 times. It's a very, very chunky damage card that also scales well with strength. So if you do need more damage, the 1 energy do 36, I will say is gonna outperform the choking one pretty much always. And the sapping, it's decent, just uppercut, it's a good card. Now let's look at the skill. So 1 energy blockade. There are 3 variations. You have chaos. Add a random card into your hand. It's free to play. So on Regent, free to play means you do not pay stars either. That's pretty good. Energized, gain 2 energy. So you pay 1 energy to gain 2 energy. Also, you get some block. A decent card. And the final card is draw 3. So a super backflip. 1 energy blockade, draw 3. Every skill is good. It's like, do you want energy, then take energy. If you want draw, you take draw. If you want to generate card, you take that with usually Regent with like Pillar. Or you should have like Fiddle, right? Fiddle turns off the draw, you can go random card instead. So final option in the Mad Science event, make a power. This is going to be, on average, the best option out of the bunch. So there are 3 options on here. Expertise, 1 energy power, gain 2 strength, gain 2 dexterity. Just very good value. It's a good card, good scaling. Second option, improvement. At the end of combat, upgrade a random card. This is a little weak compared to the other 2 options offered. However, in a vacuum, it's not bad. If you get it early, you get like 4 upgrades. That's like fine, 4 random upgrades. That's a pretty good event. But yeah, not the most exciting option. The most exciting option is not shown on here, but I will tell you what it is. Its powers cost 1 less energy. And every Mad Science variant, all of them, power, skill, attack, they upgrade to innate. So you have an innate power that says power cost 1 less energy. So every other power in your deck costs 1 less. That's insane. If you have like a few powers in your deck, the power cost 1 less card is crazy value. Very high priority upgrade as well. You want to upgrade it to make it innate. So out of the 9 options from this event, that's the strongest card in my opinion. And every other card are good. But that one is the outlier, the crazy high roll. But yeah, every Mad Science upgrades to innate. You might not want to upgrade them. For example, you don't really want to upgrade improvement. But like even expertise is like a decent upgrade, right? If you have like these throwing axe tanks, you have innate. You just play it twice. Plus 4 strength, plus 4 dex, not too bad. But yeah, very, very strong event. This is a 3 out of 3. You're not allowed to reject. I can show you what happens. You lose. Yeah. Yeah, you lose. So don't do that. So you have to accept the trial. And the trial has 3 different set of outcomes, right? And for each set of outcomes, you have two choices. So they come in pairs. So this is the first possible outcome. You add a regret for 2 random relics, add a shame to upgrade 2. These upgrades are targeted. They are not random upgrades, so you actually get to choose. The upsides for these options are actually quite good. However, those curses are horrendous, especially regret. It's like minus 500 HP in the act. If you cannot go to your shop, which in Act 3, sometimes you don't get to go to your shop. That's another thing I want to talk about. A lot of Act 3 events force curses into your deck. So you kind of do want to go event into your shop. If you are able to do that, to remove the curse. 2 relics are good. Regret, very, very bad. So usually I will go shame for upgrade 2 here. If I'm not able to remove, then the 2 relics are very strong. Shame, it's kind of free for the queen because you're shame anyways. So that's something to consider. But if you're blocking with dexterity, this is pretty bad too. But 2 relics are good, obviously. And the second set of options, not shown on screen here. Top option, heal 10, straight up. So no downside, heal 10, pretty good. Bottom option, add regret for 300 gold. So if you are going to a shop, that's a very, very strong option. If not, well, just take your heal 10 and move on. No downside. And final set of options, you have top option, add a dealt to your deck, get 2 card rewards, and bottom option, add a dealt to your deck, transform 2. So both options give you dealt. Dealt makes you weak for 1 turn. That's a little bit more situational. If you have like anything that works with card rewards, you like a toxic egg, frozen egg, you might want to look at the cards because you're not guaranteed to transform into a skill, right? So you can look at the card rewards instead. Also, transforms in Act 3 are just a little bit lower value. The random nonsense are not as good in Act 3 because you have a pretty defined deck already. And I would recommend going get 2 card rewards more than transform 2 in that situation because both options give you dealt. I'd rather just look at the card rewards and decide if I want to add the garbages. Dealt is also a very bad curse. Being weakened sucks. I mean, free against the queen, but being weakened is especially bad for test subject. You need to rush them down, right? Phase 1. So overall, this event forces a curse into your deck basically every time. And in Act 3, you cannot really do that. Right? Your deck is already pretty set. You might not even get to go to your shop. And the curses are all bad. So the trial, I would say, is a 1 out of 3. A pretty bad event. Worse than hallway. Yeah, that's every Act 3 exclusive event. As you can see, they are all pretty bad compared to the first 2 acts. Like the only good event is like the mad science event. That thing is crazy, right? But every other Act 3 event kind of sucks. So when pathing Act 3, consider just dodging every event if possible. Just maximize your campfires. Go to your shop if you can, because you don't have Act 4 to spend your gold. And fight elites if you are not weak. Finally, we have shared events. So those are events that can occur in multiple acts. Either they can occur in like both Overgrowth, Underdocks, or they can occur in like all 3 acts. So first one on the list, the Sunken Statue. This can occur only Act 1, but both Act 1, Overgrowth, and Underdocks. Top option, get a Sword of Stone. After 5 elites, this transforms into a relic that gives you 3 strength, the Jade Sword. Bottom option, get a big chunk of money. Both options are good. If you don't want to lose HP, which very often you don't in Act 1, and you don't have a shop, you just get a sword. The sword is really strong. Like 3 strength is a good effect. It just pays off a bit later. But like any character that can use strength, which is basically every character besides Necro, this is pretty good. Even Necrobinder, you can use strength, like pull from below, you eradicate, not too bad. Bottom option, if you are going to a shop immediately, especially on Necrobinder, right, you want the money, because Necrobinder doesn't value the sword as much. But this is a pretty good relic. So Sunken Statue, probably 3 out of 3. Both options are quite powerful. Next event, this is a Act 1 and Act 2. You can't see this in Act 2, but it's much stronger in Act 1, obviously, because you front load your information for the round, you get to look at more cards in Act 1. So top option, choose one of 5 random cards. And they are based on rarity, so you're more likely to see common and uncommon. It's more rare to see rare cards. This is from your character. Bottom option, lose 5 HP, get a colorless card reward. So you look at 3 cards, and they're colorless. I will say 99% of time at go bottom here, you do pay 5 HP, but colorless cards are generally higher quality than random cards. For one, they are guaranteed to be uncommon and above. There are no common colorless cards. You do see common cards here quite often. Second of all, colorless cards are kind of broken. Alright, let's ignore the trash, right? Just pretend there's no trash. I mean, yeah, Ultimate Strike, not bad. 1 energy, 14 damage. Production, not bad if you can use the energy. Colorless cards are just very, very, very broken in this game, so pretty much I always go bottom on Brain Leech. Easily 3 out of 3 event. Crazy, crazy powerful. Crystal Sphere. This can only occur in Act 2 and Act 3 if you have at least 100 gold. This is the divination event. Basically, either you just pay 56 for like a small divination, or you get a curse, a debt. It's a pretty bad curse, but you get to click 6 times. I think these days, I basically always go bottom. First of all, you don't pay the gold immediately. It takes like 5 fights potentially to lose 50 gold. Second of all, you cannot get the relic in this event if you go small. You have to go big. So basically, I always go big here. I basically never go small, and I try to look for the relic. I also want to look for the rare card. There is a rare card here. Those are the things you're looking for. There's also a curse here somewhere, and it's purple. So if you see like a purple card that's not fully discovered, just try to avoid it. So usually I start here somewhere. I want to cover the maximum amount of area to guarantee my relic and rare card. So you know that's not a curse, right? It doesn't have the curse border. That's your rare card. And we have seen the relic. I don't think we can get a relic here, unfortunately. But getting the rare is quite good. Usually it can be better than the relic. Oh, yeah, like this. GG. So yeah, I would say the rare card reward is probably stronger than the relic even, but the relic is pretty good, of course. But yeah, basically every time I go bottom here to look for the rare card and relic. I think it's better than hallway fight. I would say the Crystal Sphere is a 3 out of 3 event. Alright, next event, Doll Room. This event is Act 2 exclusive. But I guess from the wording of it, it's gonna be able to occur in the Alt Act 2 that might be coming. The other Act 2 exclusive are like exclusive to the Hive. For now, there's no difference. It's Act 2 only. Doll Room, basically you get a choice of 3 dolls. You get your Bing Bong. Whenever you add a card to your deck, add an additional copy. You get your Daughter of the Wind when you play attacking a block. You get your Mr. Struggles. At the start of your turn, deal damage equal to the turn number to all enemies. So 1 damage, AoE, then 2, then 3, and so on. If you're playing seriously, and if you do not have clone, I would say don't get Bing Bong. Bing Bong is quite bad. So it's often very worth it to spend 5 HP to avoid being bombed. Very frequently, you have a doll you really want. Basically, usually Daughter, like if you're silent, spamming some ships, if you're a Necrobinder playing Austy attacks, for example, can be worth it to spend 15 HP to guarantee to get Daughter of the Wind. But if you don't have a strong signal for either, you can just go middle here, lose 5 HP. Just make sure you don't get beam bombed. The other two dolls are pretty good. This Mr. Struggle damage can add up in longer fights. Also, you're in Act 2 and you're fighting, there's a Decimal P running around, so any AoE helps. The Struggles is quite solid. I think Mr. Struggles and Daughter are both quite good. So this event, probably better than Hallway, 3 out of 3. Next event, the Fake Merchant event. Can occur in Act 2 and Act 3 if you have at least 100 gold or a Foul Potion. So first of all, if you have a Foul Potion, you can use it and fight them. The fight isn't super hard, and after you fight them, you get all of his fake relics. He was selling for free. If you want them, you don't have to pick them up. You get 300 gold. You get his rug. Okay, it's a relic that doesn't do anything. You get like your regular card reward and potion roll. So if you do have a Foul Potion, this is insanely good. If you do not have a Foul Potion, we get to look at some fake relics. I would say Snake Eye basically never. Even if you have some expensive cards, this effect is really bad. Yeah, this effect is really bad. I've had this with a Meteor Strike in my deck, and it's still bad. Because you don't have the normal Snake Eye +2 draw. Then you draw 5 cards, you get screwed by this way too often. The other relics are basically just like normal relics, but weaker. There are some that's a little better than others. The Happy Flower is okay, you can set it up. The fake Ancient Tea set is also okay. Yeah, the fake Ancient Tea set, you get 1 additional energy after you enter red side instead of 2, that's okay. The fake Orichalcum by itself kind of sucks, but it stacks pretty well with a normal Orichalcum. So if you have both of them, you get 9 block for free. That's okay. I mean, fake Mango basically doesn't do anything. Fake Lee's Waffle also doesn't do too much. It's like 7 healing maybe. Fake Anchor is fine. Yeah, this is fine actually. 4 block turn 1, not too bad. And the fake Blood Vial, this is good rate. 1 HP per combat for like $50. That's gonna heal a lot more than Lee's Waffle throughout the run. Even within the act maybe. But yeah, most relics are not good here. The energy ones are pretty good. Okay, the fake Strike on me also really bad. I would not really waste money on this. So I would say Anchor is pretty good. The fake energy relics are pretty good, and the Blood Vial is pretty good. If you're pathing to a shop, I just won't waste money on these fake relics unless it's like the energy ones. If you're not going to a shop, you can spend some money here. You do get power for a discounted rate, so it's like fine. Overall, not like the best event. I would say maybe equivalent to a hallway. 2 out of 3. I mean, if you have like the Foul Potion, it's freaking crazy. I can show you what happens. You enter a fight with him. This guy doesn't do too much damage, just like 15 damage every turn or something. Not very difficult. And you get 300 gold. You get the Merchant Rug, which, yeah, does nothing. And you get to get a card reward too. And you can pick up every relic here. You don't have to pick it up. So you can leave the Snake Eye on the floor. Next event, the Potion Carrier. This event can only occur in Act 2, Act 3. Either you go top, you get 3 Foul Potions. In Ascension 10, you only have 2 potion slots. So you only get 2, unless you have like Potion Belt. Bottom option, you get a random common potion. So top option, you can toss the fail potions at a real merchant for 100 gold, or at the fake merchant for insane value. And bottom is just like fine. Random uncommon potion, usually not too bad. If you're going to a shop, very often it's worth to just like toss every potion and just get 200 gold. It's a lot of gold. However, let's say you're holding on to like a fairy bottle, like a focus potion, you can even consider get 100 gold, right? Hold on to your other potion, just get 100 gold. 100 gold will be better than common potion if you can go to your shop. If you're not going to a shop and your path is dangerous, you probably should just go bottom. That's more responsible. But if you have a shop, this is a lot of money. You can also use it in combat. It deals 12 AoE to everything, but also 12 damage to yourself. I have used this potion in combat to get lethal before, but you know, very, very rarely would you use it in combat. Yeah, fail potion, you can toss them at the merchant to get 100 gold. It's a pretty powerful event because you can always just get uncommon potion, which is usually gonna be fine, or get very rich. So I would say probably I'm pretty happy to see this most times, better than a hallway 3 out of 3 event. But it's like on the weaker side compared to some of the crazy stuff. All right, next event. Run with the Elder, a returning character from Spire 1. So you have 3 options here. You can give a potion for a random relic. You can pay gold for a random relic. Or you can trade a relic for 2 relics. This can only occur in Act 2 or Act 3. And if you have at least 100 gold or a pot or a relic that's tradable. So at least one of the options will be able to be clicked. This is fine. Usually 100 gold for a random relic is just like good. Potion for random relic is better value, but sometimes it's like the focus pot, right? You don't want to toss your focus pot or like your fairy for the random relic. Most potions you can toss. I would not buy most potions for 100 gold. Finally, this is situational. Like Art of War is a crazy relic. I don't want to give it Art of War, but if this is like a bit of nothing, you can get 2 relics instead. So basically every option here pickable. I would say this is a better than hallway event, a 3 out of 3. Yeah, you can also scam that guy to give it wax relics. That can happen sometimes. Or like any upon pickup relics like mango or whatever. You don't lose the effect after you give it mango. A very similar event, Relic Trader. This can only occur in Act 2 or Act 3, and you have to have at least 5 tradable relics. You cannot trade fake relics, so you cannot trade like least waffle question mark. So basically, you just trade a relic you have right now for a relic it's offering. Sometimes you like Giga Hyrule, you trade like some crap for like gambling chip. And sometimes you have 3 bad options. I would say usually you come out ahead because there are 3 options. You can also give it wax relics. So sometimes you also get to scam the relic trader. But yeah, it's not super good. I would say this is like probably equivalent to a hallway. 2 out of 3. I mean, it just depends on your deck, right? Just look at them and see which one is best for you. Room full of cheese. Only occurs in Act 1 and Act 2. So either you look at a bunch of common cards, 8 random common cards, you have to pick 2. Second of all, second option, you lose 14 HP for chosen cheese. At the end of combat, gain 1 max HP. So eventually you get your 14 HP back and you get big. Act 1, losing 14 HP is usually too harsh unless your path is like super safe. And Act 1 common cards are actually good. So Act 1, very often you go top. You look at the common cards to improve your deck. Act 2, You might think Act 2 the cheese gets less value, right? You have less combat to get max HP. But in Act 2, the common cards are not going to be very good. So I actually go bottom pretty often in Act 2. I would say I go bottom like maybe 50% of times in Act 2 and like 2% of times in Act 1. But this is really, really good in Act 1. You get to look at so many cards and make your deck a lot better for the upcoming elites. So pretty good event. I would say this is better than Hallway. Yeah, Charge Battery Uproar, Charge Battery Barrage. Not bad. So room full of cheese. I would say better than Hallway, 3 out of 3. Alright, next event. This can occur in every act. You sometimes do not have the bottom option because you don't have a power in your deck. This can still show up. You usually will have both options here because you have strikes and defense. So sharp, the damage of the attack gets +2, works well with multi-hit. Middle, nimble, increase a block gain from a card by 2. And bottom, swift, put a power, get draw 2. If I have a power, I just do this. Draw 2, just good. Unless the power is like demon form or something and you don't want to draw 2 on your 3-cost card. But any innate power, this is especially good, like an after image, innate, you kind of get a backup prep. These two are fine. Usually Act 1 in Overgrowth without information, I will go sharp because you want a bit more damage for Overgrowth. Underdocks, I go nimble. If I have like a decent card, decent block card, I can use nimble, I just go nimble. If I have a good multi-hit, I'll go sharp. So pretty split on the first two options. Later on in the run, you probably lean towards nimble because sharp falls off. So the earlier you get this, the better, obviously, because you can use the sharp and nimble a lot more, but draw 2 always solid. Very, very powerful event. Another 3 out of 3. It's better than Hallway. Also, draw 2 is subroutine. That's another pretty crazy combo. This can occur after floor 7. So every act. And it's pretty bad. You cannot roll the same card again. So if you roll hold on, you cannot roll defrag again. So that's the good part. And yeah, you either remove a card or you roll. You lose 3 HP. 4 HP. Okay, removing that was good there, but I just want to show you what happens, right? You keep rolling. And you lose more HP each time. I will say, sometimes you just have to suck it up and remove a good card because you cannot afford to lose more HP. You keep clicking this, you roll into like another good card, you keep rolling into good cards, you're just screwed, right? So sometimes you kind of need to remove a decent card, let's say like a charge battery, right? You just cannot afford to lose more HP. And some other times you remove a curse for freeze, and that's like the high roll. I will say usually you do lose a decent chunk of HP here if you don't get super lucky. And I don't really care to pay like 15, 20 HP to remove a card, generally speaking. So if you're kind of in a bad spot, this event makes you even worse, right? Because let's say the first card is like a key card in your deck, you cannot do that. You have to reroll. You already lose 3 HP. And the second card, you might just have to remove because you don't have more HP to spend. So if you're in a bad situation, this makes your deck even worse. And I would say for that reason, this is a event that's worse than a hallway fight. So 1 out of 3, worse than hallway. Alright, next event. This is a Act 2 event and can only occur if you have a pot. Top option, usually pretty good, just get 10 max HP, that's good value. And bottom option can be very good. Like Barrage. Yeah. So if you have like a multi-hit, something like a Barrage or even You know, there's that card on Ironclad. This, it goes pretty crazy with the Vigorous, like the Ricochet on Silent. Any multi-hit, really. Crazy, powerful effect. Otherwise, top option, pretty good. Big. Like, let's say you give up a focus potion, which is like a good potion. But you can always just buy more pots later, and if you don't require the focus potion to solve like the Act 2 boss, I don't care that much to hold that potion to the Act 3 boss. You can just find something better later. And 10 max, a lot of HP. Not bad. So once again, a good event. A 3 out of 3. Alright, this event can occur in both Act 2 and 3. Transform 1 always just fine, pretty solid. Corrupted attack. Some characters, some decks don't even have an attack to enchant, so it can just do nothing. Or it can be the best thing of all time, like a corrupt grand finale. A corrupt like squeeze, right? The Aussie, big Aussie attack. On Ironclad, there's also proc your self-damage synergies. I would say I go like 70% bottom, 30% top, because a lot of runs just don't have a big attack to corrupt. If it corrupts something like a body slam, it does work. Like if you have like 100 block, the body slam will do 150 damage, but it will not work with strength. So let's say you have like 1 strength, the body slam will just do 151. Strength applies afterwards. But yeah, if you have a big attack to enchant, then this is good. Otherwise, transform always good. I mean, even that's fine, honestly. So once again, 3 out of 3. Good event. You might be noticing that every event in this game is pretty good. I'll talk about it after we're done. But not this one, the T-Master. This can only show up in Act 1 and Act 2, and you have at least 150 gold. So you can always pay them for 150. So Bounty is basically saying that I cannot afford to take 2 dazes, so I'll just pay you $50 to screw off. This upgrading your starting hand thing, it's like fine. But I'm not gonna pay 50 gold for this temporary effect, only 1 combat. Ember Tea can maybe be good in Act 1. Let's say you want to go super aggressive in like Overgrowth. You farm like 5 elites. Then can potentially just do this to get a lot of short-term power. Otherwise, way too expensive. You don't really want to be wasting this on hallways either. 90% of the time I go bottom here because I don't want to pay them. But if you are struggling, you cannot afford to take dazed, you can consider the other options. Overall, pretty crappy event. 1 out of 3. This can only occur if you have at least 2 potions, so you actually always will have 2 potions. Let's redo that. So you have to have at least 2 potions for a future of potions to show up. So insert a rarity potion and get a rarity upgraded attack skill or power. So if you insert common potion, you get common card, rare potion, you get rare card. And they're upgraded. Whether if it's a skill, attack, or power, it's just completely random. You get what you get. You cannot enter with no potions. You always need to have 2 potions to roll this event. This can occur in all 3 acts. Act 1, Act 2, this event is insane. Especially Act 1, just adding a upgraded attack into your deck is already good in Act 1, and if you roll like a rare one, that's insane, right? Any rare card, Act 1 upgraded, that can be your entire run. Oh, like any of these are very good. Act 2, still good. Just adding like an upgraded power, upgraded skill, not too bad. Attacks are starting to fall off in Act 2. Act 3, this event is not very good. Because your deck is set, you don't really care about the card, and you're saving potions, right? You're saving potion for the boss. So This event in Act 3, not so good. You cannot drink a potion in this event. Let's say you have a fruit juice. You cannot drink it. But yeah, this event, Act 1, Act 2, very good. Act 3, kind of bad. So on average, I would say it's like 3 out of 3 better than hallway. The next event, this is a Act 1 exclusive. The legends were true. You either lose 8 HP for a pot, or you get Spoils Map. Spoils Map, it's a quest. You get $600 in Act 2 in the chest. And the map generation is a little different with the Spoils Map. Spoils Map Act 2 generation, it's a little wonky, but usually the pathing is actually quite good. Please heavily consider the top option. If you're not in any immediate danger, you need to realize this is way too much gold. Let's say you farm like 1 less elite in Act 1 because of it, or like you have to rest 1 more time. This is 600 gold. This essentially turns the game into I make it to the chest in Act 2, I win. Also, if you have 2 pots, I'm not gonna lose 8 HP to like do nothing. So if you have 2 potions, I will also just go top. If you have 2 potions, you're also likely to be in a safer spot. If you're weak, you're very often weak in Act 1, by the way. So if you're weak, you don't have full potions, you cannot really afford to get a curse. You just go bottom here, get a pot. This potion kind of sucks. Like block potion is 12 HP, right? You're paying 8 HP for like 12 HP. So bottom option kind of sucks. Sometimes you just have to do this because you cannot afford a curse. I would advise clicking top if you can get away with it. But sometimes the pathing is just too dangerous, you cannot go top. I would say this is like maybe comparable to a hallway fight. The power of the event is quite strong, but it's a little situational. You cannot really always go top here. And bottom option, it's a little bit positive, probably. The potion will probably save you more than 8 HP, especially against like an elite. You can potentially save like 20 damage in the elite fight. But losing HP for a potion is pretty bad. I rate this event 2 out of 2. Alright, next event, this or that. This can just occur in every act. No restrictions. This, you lose 6 HP for a bit of gold, 41 to 69 gold. A very small amount. That, you get a clumsy and a random relic. Clumsy as a curse doesn't really matter too much. And you get a random relic. Nice, relics are good. Way better than this. You also don't lose 6 HP. So 99% of the time you go bottom here, just random relic. If you are going to like an immediate shop and you have some like gold threshold, like this 58 gold buys you like a rare relic, for example, then you can consider that. But even then, I just want a random relic. Basically always bottom, and it's good. Random relics are good, better than hallway, 3 out of 3. Alright, this is the Lantern Key event. If you fought and got Lantern Key in Act 2, this is the event you will see in Act 3. And we already talked about this. History Core is basically kind of like a defect only relic at this point. Maybe Ironclad, if you have good attacks. Otherwise, I mean, the bottom option is a good option. You get 2 random relics and 2 potions. It's good. But this is not the real event. It's just the follow-up from the quest. Anchor Red Mask. I am blocking turn 1. Alright, finally, the last event we will cover. Welcome to Wongos. Act 2 only, and if you have at least 100 gold. So these 2 options might not be available, but top option always available. So first of all, this sucks, right? You basically never do this. You would just pay them. Pay 100 gold for the pity common relic. that's always like fine. Second option, you know what relic is featured, so you can make your decision. And this also cannot be like a relic that generates gold. You used to be able to get old coin here, so it's like pay 200 gold to get 300 gold. That's kind of funny. But you cannot get gold relics anymore. And you just decide, is molten egg worth 300 gold? No, don't click. Is gambling chip worth 300 gold? Yes, click. Very simple to work out. Finally, mystery box. 300 gold for 3 random relics after 5 combats. This is actually not bad. You don't have any short-term power, which is kind of suck. You're paying $300 to do nothing. But if you're not going to a shop, that's a lot of relics. Like 3 random relics is a lot of relics. So if you're able to get away with a mystery box, I will actually just go mystery box, but very often you need the immediate power boost. So I think top option is clicked most frequently, followed by the second one, because if that relic's crazy, you just click it. Now you can take mystery box if you're strong, and if you don't have like a shop to spend money, you can just pay them. Let's roll this. Wow, that's pretty good. But yeah, one goes, I would say it's better than a hallway because you are at least always guaranteed 100 gold to get a common relic, which is good. I will, I don't think I have ever left here. It's always pretty worth it to pay 100 gold for a common relic. Yeah, one goes 3 out of 3. Okay. That's every event in Slay the Spire 2. If you have noticed something, especially Act 1, Act 2, basically every event is better than a hallway. And I think that's a problem with the game right now. Events are too strong. You get to make your deck better without taking on any risks. You just like farm events. Then you win. You don't even need to fight hallways, right? So I do think events are a little too strong. They probably should add an ascension modifier that makes events worse, like what they did in Spire 1. But in the current state, event farming is pretty good. That's gonna be all for the all events guide. I hope you have learned something about these events and how to evaluate them. If you learned something from this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe for more Slay the Spire 2 strategy content. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.